Hello everyone! Cheshire Cat here from Wonderland Misfits, and welcome to this video. The first subject that I'm going to be talking about here is World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE Pro Wrestling. At SummerSlam, the August 21st pay-per-view event, Brock Lesnar faced Randy Orton in a match that was considered to be 15 years in the making. However, it turned out to be quite anticlimactic for a match that is supposed to be 15 years in the making. You see, basically, Brock Lesnar defeated Randy Orton in 15 minutes. In typical WWE terminology, that is generally considered a squash match. A match where one person has complete dominance over the other throughout the entire or most of the match, and those matches generally, not always, but generally are pretty short. The match ended pretty bloody. For the first time since the beginning of the PG era at the late 2000s, there was actually blood. Now, the world of pro wrestling is not unfamiliar with blood, but the typical means of presenting blood in a match is one of the wrestlers would have a concealed blade hidden from the audience, which he would cut himself. However, this particular instance of blood was not due to blading. It was due to the actual blows that Brock Lesnar struck upon Randy Orton's head. To add further depth to this, Randy Orton needed actual hospital treatment after the match and needed stitches. There have been some pretty brutal methods of creating an effect throughout pro wrestling history. So it is feasible to say that that was done on purpose. However, there have been some suspicions arising lately throughout the internet and throughout the WWE universe that there was more behind the scenes to this particular match. Some believe that that's not the way the match was intended to go, and some tempers got in. And some actual action happened, some actual fists flew. There is some pretty convincing evidence to support this case. One, it was the headlining match. Headlining matches always go 45 minutes. And they're the big, they're the big closer for it. And normally a lot of the best moments happen in it. The biggest superstars face off. And you often get the most satisfying match. And it's the big closer for the whole series. And it helps make that event. So WWE supposedly wrote and predetermined that the headlining match of the second biggest pay-per-view of the year was going to be a 15-minute squash match. For another thing, the match that went before it, Rusev versus Roman Reigns, was also very short. The bell never rang and the match never started, because they started fighting each other before the bell even rang. One of them attacked the other as the other one was entering towards the ring. They just started brawling, and they just brawled until Roman Reigns beat Rusev into a pulp. It was a TKO before the bell rang, and the match never happened. Rusev was still the US champion. Shock matches like that are not too uncommon in WWE. They do stuff like that once in a while. It keeps the fans on their toes, and it makes some pretty entertaining TV. But the WWE supposedly wrote that these two were going to happen both within the same period of time, same matches back to back, as the last two matches of SummerSlam. The pay-per-view, second biggest pay-per-view of the year, second only to WrestleMania. That's pretty bizarre to me. On top of that, Brock Lesnar has injured opponents in the past. Not to say that they were always on purpose, but it has happened. Probably the most convincing argument in favor of Brock Lesnar having actually attacked Randy Orton is Randy Orton has had a history of concussions in his career. So you mean to tell me that the WWE approved of a wrestler with a history of concussions using a methodology of actual blows to his head to draw blood as an effect? Especially during this era where WWE has been creating rules to advocate safety to prevent such injuries as concussions. I'm sorry. I'm not buying that. Not only do I think it's very, very, very likely, if you ask me, I would say, yes, that's the way it happened, that it did turn into a shoot, as they would call it. I also kind of hope that that's what actually happened. See, I don't like Brock Lesnar. He has no real persona or real charisma. I mean, he walks in there, he goes in the ring, and he does that, that little boxing trot, and he has, like, the MMA gloves, but he has, like, no connection to the audience. Brock Lesnar practically does nothing to connect with the audience. As far as you know, the audience doesn't exist. His mic skills are so low that they have to have Paul Heyman next to him to talk for him. And the few times that he does talk, he always manages to add some cuss word somewhere on PG-rated programming. He always has to be bleeped out by the censors at some point during his talking. Like, he doesn't even have that kind of awareness, entertainment-wise, or he just doesn't care. Don't get me wrong, as an athlete, he is top level. Top level. He's a championship MMA fighter. His strength and his in-ring physicality is just insane. But that doesn't make him a great professional wrestler. You need the whole package to be a top-level wrestler. The thing that annoys me the most about Brock Lesnar is that regardless of the things I've stated before, and only because of his physical presence alone, WWE loves him and makes him destroy everybody. But as the all-around wrestler, he's not at the level of a lot of these guys that WWE has him destroy. Now, Randy Orton, I love. He is a guaranteed future Hall of Famer. He is a multiple-time world champion. And he is the total package. He has everything. He has the charisma. He has the in-ring ability. He has that ability with storytelling and that ability to connect with the audience. Randy Orton is just a top-level superstar. And to think that the WWE is going to put that little nail in Randy Orton's coffin, put that little black mark in his legendary career, it's nauseating. So the idea that it was a shoot, that's kind of reassuring, honestly. Because it's not really what the WWE intended, it's not really what was supposed to happen. But something went wrong in the ring. That doesn't take anything away from Randy Orton. He just dealt with a guy who has a hot temper. Hey, this is me a couple days later. I need to add one thing. There is actually a third possibility. That the match wasn't meant to be that way, and yet it wasn't a malicious attack. It was an accident. Brock Lesnar, having just come back from MMA, still adjusting, he threw an elbow in the adrenaline of the audience coming out, accidentally hit a bit too hard, as he's probably more accustomed to doing due to his time in MMA. But even this does not excuse it, in my opinion, because if that was true, then it was just carelessness on the part of Brock Lesnar. Yes, accidents do happen, but this is not the first time, like I said before, that Brock Lesnar has injured somebody in the ring. A pro wrestler taking the high-level risks that come with the business that cannot keep his partner safe is a problem. By the way, when Brock Lesnar went to MMA, he got suspended from the UFC due to using estrogen blockers. That kind of goes to character, doesn't it? And doesn't that reaffirm the likelihood that Brock Lesnar really did attack Randy Orton in the ring? Overall, if it did turn into a shoot, I hope the WWE slams down on Brock Lesnar. Because my fear is that WWE is going to value Brock Lesnar too much, and they're just going to do nothing about it. I hope they take disciplinary action against Brock Lesnar for what happened. If it did really happen. However, if it didn't happen, the WWE made a pretty stupid move, in my opinion. So I was supposed to be thinking of another subject now, because I said the first topic of the video. Oh yeah, look what I can do with my tongue! Okay, I think that's good enough for a second topic. Thanks a lot, everyone. Like, subscribe, join the Wonderland Misfits, where the outcasts play in the dark.